Okay.
Relax, buddy.
Okay.
Relax. All right.
I would like to dedicate Metaphysical Concepts to the 35 million children being aborted per year in the world. I'd like to also dedicate it to the mothers that kept their children. How does that sound?
Great.
Is that good?
Yeah.
Now another take?
Is there anything you want to talk about?
No.
That's good.
Okay, now what we can do, now you want to do our thing?
What do you want to
Let's
talk
do it.
about?
Well, we're going to talk about drugs.
Oh,
We'll take the double camera on that one.
all right.
Just 5, 10 minutes. Let's take a little break. I want to watch. I do not want to miss the beginning of this one.
Okay.
This is going to be so good.
Girl's got some magnetism, huh?
Well, yeah, she's a little sweetie. It won't have to take long, Dave. We got about 30 minutes left on this thing.
Okay, let's see how that.
Yeah, you look out. You go see it.
Okay, you're not in the picture all the way, are you?
Facing this
Put
way,
your mic
you'll
in.
see. Shh. This one yours up.
Oh, no.
Okay. Like this. Okay. Okay. Okay, Dave. You ready?
Well, Frank is doing the interviewing today, and his guest is me.
Okay. Now, Dave, we're going to ask the tough question.
Okay.
If you can...
Only one?
Yeah, maybe several. Now, we have a situation in Missoula where there's a lot of drugs.
It's not just Missoula, Frank.
Okay, it seems to be all over the country.
Right.
If you could give your opinion on what drugs are about metaphysically. You know what I'm going to do, Dave? I'm going to turn off that sound there.
Yeah. Turn it down.
Does it look all right on there as we're talking?
Yeah.
We just turn it. Oh. Okay. How'd it look on the right?
Yeah.
Yeah, you look great.
You look great. You're supposed to have a crater in your face, right?
Yeah, the crater, yeah.
Those craters belong to
With the old look, yeah. Okay.
Is that belly all yours?
Yes, but you can't, can you see it? Can you see it?
You didn't borrow part of it?
No, I'm all right, okay, I'm sorry. Okay, Dave, now, this is a tough question, and I think Metaphysical Concepts wants to know.
Okay.
What's your opinion on the drug use in comparison with metaphysical, let's say, attributes? So let's say if a metaphysician uses drugs to create his illusion, whatever the case may be, what's your opinion on drugs connected with higher thoughts, etc.?
Well, it's obvious, very evident that one of the plagues of our country is drugs. One of the plagues of the world is drugs. I could give my opinion, but what I'd rather do is I'd rather go to some highly evolved individuals that talk about drugs and what it does to the evolution, personal evolution, not just in metaphysics, but in life. One of the big things in Missoula is people smoke a lot of weed, smoke a lot of marijuana. I know what Ramtha says about marijuana and the results of it, and that is, he says that when a person smokes marijuana, what happens is it affects the pineal gland. It actually cuts the oxygen off to your system, which you get high on the chemical, but it actually cuts the oxygen to your system off. One of the most profound things that happens outside of us that we can use in metaphysics to enhance our abilities or the things that happen for us metaphysically is the use of oxygen. Using oxygen, breathing correctly, helps with evolution, helps with higher thinking, helps raise the vibration. What drugs and marijuana does, and drinking alcohol is just as bad. Drinking alcohol actually cuts the more refined, cuts you off from the more refined feelings, okay? And what is metaphysics, what is spirituality, what is Christianity at its finest? It's love, okay? And the ability to feel love, and in the feeling of love, it's the act of love, okay? That's actually the substance of it. If we're not feeling love, how are we going to act love towards somebody? In a comatose state from smoking weed, from drinking alcohol, are we going to stumble through that? We're only going to stumble through those things for so long. And Randolph says that drinking alcohol cuts us off from the more refined vibrations. And of course, there's the use of other drugs that give one the appearance that they're experiencing, and smoking weed does it too. Gives one the appearance that they're actually experiencing something evolved. You see colors, and you see little white lights out of the corner of your eye, or everything fades within itself. You at times think that you're seeing into something. You're seeing the essence of something.
And that's marijuana, Dave? Is that what that does?
Yeah, marijuana,
Okay.
or hallucinogenics. Okay, it gives you the appearance that you're seeing into the essence of something. So let's say for the sake of explanation that you are under the influence, seeing the essence of something. When you come back, what are you doing with what you just saw? In the artificial.
What would you say is kind of an illusion then, or?
Okay, for the most part it is.
You see something, but is it real what you're seeing or you're feeling?
Okay, in hallucinogenics, I would say that smoking pot, it is an illusion. Okay, you see colors, but if somebody knew the color balls, what they meant, what they were seeing, they would know that it can't take place under the influence of a substance. And hallucinogenics, seeing into something, seeing the essence of something. So let's say for the sake of explanation that somebody does see the essence of something. If you're seeing it under an artificial influence, there's nothing that can come of what you just saw. What are you going to do with what you just saw? Even if you did see it, you're going to come back and you're going to do something with what you just saw? It's all an illusion.
Well, didn't Randolph say, I mean, not Randolph, but Ramtha, didn't Ramtha say also that can actually destroy the soul? And he said that is all. That is all.
Yes.
Something like that. Now, what would cause that? Now, Ramtha says something about Rob's oxygen out of the brain. That's what it feels like to die. Do you have any, let's say, information that would relate to that?
He says it's what it's like to die. So what's happening is each puff you take, each time you get high, there's no noticeable difference. But over long periods of time, the human mind and the human body is very pretty resilient and regenerative. But over a period of time, what you're doing is you're actually lowering your vibration under the illusion that you're raising your vibration. And by dying, it isn't just a physical death. I don't think it's a physical death he's talking about. It's a soul death.
Well, then, like we know that oxygen or air has prana in it, the little white lights.
Right.
And so let's say if you're robbing your brain from the little white lights or the messengers of your system that produces your system, would that kind of like have an interpretation saying that's why the body or the soul is dying, because it's no longer receiving those messages, but it's under an illusion of what it feels like to die?
Not only is it not receiving the correct messages, it's receiving bogus messages. And there's another thing that smoking weed does too, is the information comes in through the pituitary gland, right? And what it does is seriously endangers the pituitary gland, okay, and the thyroid as well. And so
it kind of destroys a little gravel, kind of like how the little, the mercury set that we used to have years ago, where you get a radio station, destroys that signal. Would it be something like that?
And it destroys the signal, or the signal comes in and your brain doesn't know it gets distorted when it comes in, and your brain doesn't know what to do with it. The rest of your being doesn't know what to do with it. So it comes in, then what? Even if it does come in, but it's that little it's your soul's receiver for those messages. And again, smoking weed takes you right off that. It ruins that little gland. And the body is resilient, but at the same time, you know what? It's so sensitive. To know what it's like to experience those finer vibrations coming in, the finer information, and to do something with it, how would, if somebody tasted that, if somebody knew that, how would they turn away from that?
Well, then, Dave, to ask a simple question on that one. Would you say that there was any masters in the past, like Christ, Buddha, Krishna, anybody that you've ever heard of being a master, an initiate, have they ever used drugs to get there?
Well,
to your knowledge?
Well, to my knowledge, to anybody's knowledge, to ask me that question is to ask everybody that's watching. Has anybody ever heard of Christ smoking a joint? Or,
well, that's an interesting thought.
Yeah. Is anybody a Buddha? Now, did Buddha
take acid or
eat peyote? Or, and the thing is I'm under the impression also that in my experience, and not just my experience, but from watching other people, there comes a time when everybody is faced with a decision. There is a point of no return. A lot of young people when they're smoking weed and they're out there playing, okay, kind of feel like they're in a grace period. Kind of feel like they can get away with it for so long. But in my personal experience and from watching others, there's always a point of no return. And if it happened for me, I think it has to happen for everybody, Frank. There comes a day when you are faced with that decision. You have your hand on that doorknob, so to speak, and on the other side of that door is your potential, what you can become, is metaphysics, is a soft, still voice. Okay, the white light is on the other side of that door, and everybody's faced with the decision. Are they going to open that door, and are they going to walk through that door and close the door behind them? And start walking towards that white light, or start walking towards that knowingness. And
so you think drugs would hinder that ability to, let's say, in a way, we know that Christ could levitate. We know that there's other avatars in Tibet can levitate. So would it dim those, just one ability, but would it dim that ability to levitate if one was on drugs? They couldn't do it, or could they do it? What do you think?
Not only would it inhibit the ability to do it, but you wouldn't even see the value in trying to do it, Frank. I mean,
so you wouldn't want to approach that part of evolution.
You wouldn't even want to do it. And our viewers would say, so what is levitation? So who wants to levitate anyway? Okay, how would you like to get from one to answer that? How would you like to go to Cincinnati and not take a plane, or not drive in a car?
So like Randolph, he went. That was Abraham Lincoln's teacher. He went to the other side and described the 49 levels around Earth. And there's no evidence that Randolph used drugs to do that. And he went to the other side and described the higher levels of beings that no longer look human and so forth, going up to the 5th and 6th and 7th level. Would you say that there's no chance in the world that somebody could use drugs and get to that ability to leave their bodies and go to the other side and see what's really there?
Not only would they not have the ability to do it, but they would never even think of the concept of trying it.
Again, we're back to it dulls the brain.
We're back to de-evolution instead of evolution. And let me, we've been at this for 2 years, Frank. And we've actually come to a point where you and I are sitting here talking about it and sharing our views with our viewers. Why? Because we've had experience with it on this level. We've tried. We've put out for people that are living the illusion, okay? And I guess I'm being politically correct and instead of coming out and just saying it, but I'll say it a little as subtly as I can, we've had experience with it, and where does it go?
And then it does kind of give metaphysics a bad name too, doesn't it?
It does.
Yeah.
It does. And you know, and there's, you know, there, and to add to the illusion, you know, when somebody's doing it, especially when you're in metaphysics, or you've approached the door to metaphysics or whatever, you're under to live the illusion. And you know what I'm talking about, and how the illusion lives out and plays out is, they think nobody knows.
Well, yeah, the viewer knows, but the person doing it doesn't think they know.
The person watching, just because somebody tells you the story, you're supposed to believe it.
So there really has to be kind of like a right and wrong in the use of drugs, and like it might be for pain or for operations, things like that. And I know that marijuana can be used and eaten for neurotics. You know, it could be just kind of dulls the system down if you ingest it, so it seems to be a legitimate use for it in medicine.
That's what some of the great teachers say, that it's an herb after all. But to smoke and to put into your lungs, what's the intent behind the use of it? You know, it helps with glaucoma.
And that's the part that would take more of the oxygen out of the brain.
Sure, it helps. Yeah, it helps with glaucoma. It helps with certain eye malfunctions. But again, what's the intent behind it? Is it, you know, sooner or later, even in, you know, especially when you approach the door to metaphysics, you know, you can't lie. You can't fool anybody, friend. You know.
Well, it seems like you can't achieve. Let's say if a person is taking drugs and they kid themselves like they have some kind of insight and so forth, and I think Randall's called them fakers, you know. But it would seem that it would dull that, like you said, dull that ability to want even to achieve some of those things that the great masters did achieve, such as levitation, astral travel to the different planetary systems, etc.
And maybe when we, and maybe, you know, who smoking weed, who that's using, who that drinks a lot, even sees the necessity or even sees the possibility of what you're talking about.
They wouldn't even
Randolph.
think about it.
Yeah, it doesn't even cross their mind that that's a capability that we have.
Well, we know, like Dave, you know, not to interrupt, but we know that there's some people that are highly evolved on Earth right now have actually been to Mars in their astral bodies and looked at the pyramids we're now taking pictures of, and they've described them just like the pictures that we're taking pictures of. Mm-hmm. So we know that they have had this ability to travel in the spaces in their astral body, different planetary systems and so forth, and apparently, let's say drugs would hinder that, is what we're trying to say here, I guess.
Yeah. You can bet that they didn't light a joint to get to Mars.
Well, that's a good analysis.
Yeah. They didn't crack open a wine bottle to get to Mars. And at the same time, there's a knowing that that's a part of the American culture. Okay, but when you make us, you know, when you say certain things. The other things fall right in line with them. You're automatically making a statement when you say I'm a metaphysician. What you're saying when you say you're a metaphysician is you say, you know, I am trying to live the life.
Well, that makes sense.
If you're studying metaphysics, what you say, that three-letter word, you are trying to live a life. Because we all, getting back to that, if you're a metaphysician, if you're a Christian, if you're spiritual, you're into spirituality, you're a Buddhist, what are you doing? You're learning something and you're applying it.
Well, things like food, shelter, and clothing in the capitalist spirit.
You're applying it. So when you say you're a metaphysician, when you say I'm a Christian, you're making a statement. You're saying I'm trying to lead a clean life. And there's an equal sign right next to it. On the other side of the equal sign, there's not, you know, you're not lighting a joint. Okay, you know, somebody.
So you don't think the Pleiades lit a joint to come to Earth in 2 hours from the Pleiades, then?
Oh no.
And we know now that the Pleiades actually built the pyramids along with extraterrestrials.
Yes.
And they have evidence of that in the pyramids now that have been opened up in the secret chambers. And there's no evidence of any of the writings at all that they used drugs to get here, evolved to that high level from Billy Myers, etc., from his information with the Pleiades. But so we're really kind of like on the Earth level now, we seem to have a massive influx of drugs saying that you're going somewhere, but maybe we're not going any place with the drug problem.
No, you're not moving towards it. You're moving away from it.
So you'd have to have evidence like Cy Bob can make things appearing on his hands, or he can heal the sick and so
Bring
forth.
people back from the dead.
Yeah, so you might say that he has achieved those abilities and has proof that he has now evolved to that station in life.
Right.
And there's no evidence that he uses drugs either. So I would agree with you that maybe it just stifles the ability to advance.
Well, yeah, yes. And you know, the great teachers tell us. You and I aren't just sitting here telling our viewers this stuff. Most of it's common sense.
Well, it would seem like that. Huh?
Right. And you're not moving towards it. You're moving away from it.
Well, thanks, Dave. I feel privileged to hear your opinion on the drug problem in Missoula and throughout the world. And you know, I hope the audience will kind of get a message from this. You know,
If you're making a statement, try to live up to it.
sounds good. Thanks, Dave. Okay, let's see what it looks like.
Oh, that's good.
Yeah, pretty good. Yeah. We're getting better.
Damn, look at my stand down here, bro. Yeah,
Well, actually, I can't see. I'm looking this way, so I can't see.
yeah.
Hey, Fred, we'll leave that in. What about your big gut? Let's check it out.
No, that's it.
We think that's about 20 minutes.
Mike's that stomach all yours?
No, you would.